Okay, thank you. Perfect. All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. I'm Jenny McCullum, the Director of Procurement Services and the Chief Procurement Officer for JEA and the Chair of the Awards Committee. I'd like to call the March 4th, 2021 awards meeting to order. We do have a new awards committee, so I'm going to read through the committee members. We have a quorum with Stephen Datz, Laura Dutton, Joe Arfano, Hai Vu, all sitting on site to meet our on-site quorum, and then Todd Skinner is sitting in for Ricky Erickson today.
Jenny, it's Joe. I am on WebEx.
Yes, sorry, Joe. I do see you on the WebEx. Thank you. So we've got 2 WebEx, but we do have a quorum for the 3 on-site. OGC is represented by Julie Davis, and budget is represented by Lori Whitmer. And I just want to take a moment before public comment to welcome the new committee members and just thank you guys in advance for the amount of time and effort being on this committee does take. So we do appreciate, you know, the time you guys are putting into this. And as we go along, I'll try to take some time today to really explain the process and how the meeting works for the newcomers, and then for Todd, who's sitting in for Ricky. And as we go along, if there's any questions that come up, I'm happy to answer those along the way about the process. Also, we've got a team of JEA employees and on the call, and then we have legal also on the call for any questions that the committee might have as we go through each item, and we can answer any of those questions as you guys bring them up. So before we get started, this is a public meeting, so I'm going to ask if there's any public comment. Is there anyone in the room that I can't see in the bid office?
No, just committee members.
Okay, great. All right, so I will ask if there are any public comments from any of the members that have dialed in to the meeting. All right, seeing none. Haley or Lynn, did we get any emails about public comments on the agenda before the meeting started?
No emails.
Okay, great. All right, so there are no public comments for the March 4th, 2021 meeting, so we will start with our agenda. We have items 1 through 7, and they've all been reviewed by procurement and by budget and are ready for the awards committee review. What we'll do is we will go through each of these award items individually, and then I'll ask if there's any questions, comments from the awards committee members. Really, this is your opportunity to ask any questions that you might have as you were, reviewing these documents. This is your time to ask those questions, and legal, if they have any comments that they want to also make. And then if we need someone from the business or procurement to answer any questions that you guys have, they are able to also speak. So this time is really generally for you all to ask those questions, but we do have people on standby, as I said, to answer anything. But other than that, typically we will not have anyone else speak since public comment is already over. Once we go through the comments and questions that you guys have on each of the award items, I will ask for a motion to approve that individual award item, and then I will need a second from a different committee member. And then once I get a motion to approve and to second that, I will roll call through the committee and ask for your individual approval. So we will start. I'm going to stop there for a second and ask if any of the committee members have questions about the flow or the process for this meeting. All right, we will start with the first award item, which are the meeting minutes from our February 26, 2021 meeting. Do you guys have any comments or questions on those? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 26, 2021.
Stephen Datz, motion to approve.
Thanks, Stephen. Can I get a second? Thank you, Joe. We'll roll call through the committee for approval of the meeting minutes from February 26, 2021, starting with Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
Todd Skinner.
Approved.
And Hai Vu.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, award number 2 is a contract assignment, and this is just a partial assignment. This contract is for the recycling, solid waste hauling, and disposal services for JEA. This recommended awardee is GFL Solid Waste Southeast LLC, and the amount is $62,000. I'll give you guys a little bit of history on this one. So we originally bid this out and it was approved by the awards committee in August of 2016. And the award went to Advanced Disposal Services, Jacksonville LLC, in a little bit over $3.7 million. This was for a 5-year contract with a 1-year optional renewal. We're coming to the committee today because there was a merger between Advanced Disposal Services and Waste Management, Inc. And it is required by the U.S. Department of Justice and various state attorney general to divest of certain assets. So Waste Management is divested, and GFL Solid Waste Southeast LLC acquired some of those assets. And what that relates to for JEA is the assets for the front loader dumpster scope for the Duval County. And they do this due to the risk of monopoly. So the investment recovery team who owns this contract estimated that the scope of these services through the end of the term, which is August of this year, 2021, is going to cost about $62,000. So this is an estimate, but we are asking the committee to assign $62,000 of the contract to GFL Solid Waste Southeast. So I'm going to pause there and see if the committee has any comments or questions, or if the business would like to add anything that I might have left out.
Jenny, will you hover there for just a moment where you can see the begin and end? I was trying to get a feel for when we're on the back of the 5-year term, right?
Yep.
So Jenny, is as part of the assignment, do we decrease the contract amount to Advanced Disposal?
Yes, we will do that through a contract amendment. And it's such a little amount that it's something that procurement can do, internally from just something I can approve. But yes, that will happen.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Jenny,
Jenny, just a comment to update Alan's title on page 9. Missing support at the end.
Thank you. We will do that. Any other?
Jenny, additional comment. I believe these merger-related activities, they have to file at the pre-merger Hart-Scott-Rodino filing with the DOJ. And it's typical where there could be instances where they have mutual operations in various cities. So the Department of Justice requires them to divest assets. So this is a common practice for those that are not familiar with it.
Thank you, Joe. I think this is one of the first ones that we've ever seen. So it has been reviewed by OGC.
The filing is called a Hart-Scott-Rodino it's a particular act back in the 70s that was put into place.
Thank you for the additional comments, Joe. Any other comments or questions? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 2.
I move, so moved.
Thank you. A second?
Laura Dunn, second.
Thank you, Laura. We will roll call through the committee to approve award number 2, starting with HIVU.
Approved.
Laura Dutton,
Approved.
Stephen Datz,
Approved.
Joe Arfano,
Approved.
and Todd Skinner.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 3 is a contract amendment. This is JEA's Nassau Regional Water Treatment Plant, wellhead number 3, and water main improvement project. Williams Industrial Services, Inc. is the awardee, and the recommended award amount is $63,879.69. We are expected to have this project done this month. I'd like to make sure that is accurate when we get a chance to go and talk to the business, but just some history before we move to the business is we originally bid this out and was approved by the awards committee in August of 2019 and a little over $1.8 million. JEA back in November of 19 approved an administrative increase, which is allowable per the P code for those who don't know, of 10% of the contract through procurement and the business manager to approve. And that was done to cover costs associated with accelerated schedule that shortened the substantial completion of the project by 4 months, which is why I wanted to make sure that that March 2021 date is accurate. But for this one, the contract amendment, it's several unknown underground pipes in Amelia Concourse that had to be crossed. So there was discoverable work. And so with that, additional fittings and pipes, additional concrete gutter, sidewalks, landscaping repair, and road repairs are due to the relocation of those unknown pipes. So that is what the award amount will cover of the little over $63,000. So I want to ask, before we move to the committee, for the business to weigh in on the project completion date and then anything else that I might have left out.
Yes, the completion date is accurate.
And is that Brian Phillips?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brian. All right. So I'm going to ask the committee if you guys have any questions or comments on this award item.
So, question, this is how a question to Brian. The request is for a change order to the contractor based on one of their submitted invoices, which was dated back in January. And I'm concerned about the timing. So how do we cover the cost of the contract before the change?
So, hi, it's kind of hard to hear you, but are you saying that some of these the work has already been done?
Yes, I'm asking essentially the timing of the request versus the timing for the work.
Okay. I think, Brian, did we know that? Did procurement, because the only difference we would make on this award is to call it it would be a ratification. It might be a partial ratification depending on how much had been done prior to the awards date. If all of that's included, then we would make a note. And you go up to page 1, Lynn or Haley, you can see there's a spot for ratification. And it says no currently, but if there was, we need to update that to say yes, and how much of that, 63,000 is included in that ratification. Brian, can you comment on that for us?
Yes, some of the work was done prior to today, when they did the open cuts across Amelia Crossing, when they found the unknown pipes. We didn't have time to get everything paperwork done and follow up on it. We had to keep moving so we were able to open the road again. And we're following up now to pay the company for the work that was done.
Okay, and that's okay. Thank you, Hi, for bringing that to the committee's attention. All we need to do is determine how much of that was done prior to today. If all of it, then we'll just we'll update the award item to reflect the amount of the 63,000 that was needed to be ratified with the approval of the committee.
Okay, I'd have to defer to Alan Borey on that.
Alan, do we know if it was all of the amount or partial? And if so, we can update that before I send it to the CEO for final approval, but I do want to make a note of it on the record.
I would say the majority of it was done. One item, well abandonment, may still need to be done. I have to check on that.
Okay, so I think with the awards committee approval for the majority of this as the ratification, I think should be your framework when you're approving this. And then what we'll do is give the business a day or two to get that information to us, and we'll update this award before we send it over to Jay. Any other comments or questions?
This is Lori Whitmer. I don't know if it's helpful, but in some of the details of the basis, it says 28,000 and change has not been constructed. So maybe the difference is what has already been done. Not in this award narrative, but the other supporting material we look at.
Okay, thanks, Lori. We'll confirm that with the business before we sign off on these. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Okay, I'll ask the committee for a motion to approve award number 3 with the updates we discussed with the ratification. Before we sign off, before I sign off and Lori signs off, we will get that information corrected and included on the document.
Joe,
a motion to approve.
Move with amendment.
Thank you, Joe. Can I get a second?
Stephen Datt, second.
Thank you, Stephen. We'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 3 with the amendments, starting with Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Stephen Datt.
Approved.
Hai Vu.
Approved.
Laura Dutton. And Todd Skinner.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 4. This is another contract amendment. This is for our integrated water resource plan. I'll give you guys a little history on this. It's to develop a holistic, comprehensive, integrated, and sustainable plan and schedule for managing the production, treatment, transmission, and delivery of JEA's water supply for the next 50 years. Additionally, a targeted and cost-effective demand-side management strategy with recommendations for implementation will be developed in order to assist with future JEA water conservation program development. This integrated water resource plan will recommend the next beneficial incremental water supply needed to increase system flexibility and resiliency. Cdm Smith Inc. was our original awardee, and we are recommending a contract amendment in the amount of $188,090. The project is expected to be completed April of 2022. And originally, this was bid out and approved by the awards committee in March of 2019 in the amount of about $1.1 million. There have been 2 administrative contract amendments. The first one was for a study to evaluate options for an additional 40 MGD alternative water supply in the amount of about $40,000. And then a second administrative change order was to add a study to evaluate options for eliminating surface water discharge of wastewater effluent in the amount of about $70,000. This contract increase is because JEA has requested that the consultant update the user interface of the IWRP model to facilitate easier navigation of the model without accessing all of the details that go along with it. JEA has also requested additional training on that model used with the new interface. And then as part of the contract amendment, the consultant will also study the Northwest service area to determine if the feasibility serving that area with traditional reclaimed water or implementing a purified water system that would meet all potable and non-potable demands in that area. When we negotiated this scope and fee, we used the original negotiated hourly rates that were developed for the original award back in 2019. And just as a note, before I pass this over to the committee for questions and comments, this is related to one of our Florida statutes. It's our CCNA statute, and it requires that we go out for the most qualified company when doing engineering, architectural, or any kind of design review, and CDM was deemed the most qualified to do the work. So what we do after that is we will work with the business to develop our negotiated fees per project description and project position, and then work with them to develop the hours that go along with that to complete this project. We do that in conjunction with the business. We work together. So, you know, they're really helping on the scope and what needs to be done, and then procurement's negotiating the rates. So we put quite a bit of time into that up front, but I wanted to give some history to Laura if you don't know about, you know, kind of some of the state statutes that we follow, and they can certainly update you on any questions that you have, you know, going forward as you kind of start to learn, you know, the different methods that we use. And I will stop there and ask the committee if there are any questions or comments about this award. All right. I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 4.
I got a motion to approve.
Thank you, Laura. Can I get a second?
Steve, that second.
All right, I heard Stephen. I'm going to give it to you, Stephen. All right, we'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 4, starting with Laura Dutton.
Approve.
Stephen Datz.
Approve.
Hai Vu.
Approve.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
And Todd Skinner.
Approve.
Thank you. All right, award number 5 is a proposal. This is what we call a request for proposal, and this is for fleet services, operations, building, renovation, design services. So this was also a design engineering project, architecture project through our CCNA process. So this project will include complete renovation of existing office area for the fleet services operations building. There's quite a bit of detail of what is going to be improved in the scope of work. I'm not going to repeat all of that, but Rodriguez Architecture LLC was the most qualified to do the work in the amount of $169,760. We are expected the engineering work to be completed July of 2021 of this year. And I will make a note that this is a JSEB vendor, and I believe a new JSEB vendor that has not done work with us in the past, and if they had, it has been quite some time. I don't recall seeing their name in a while, if at all. We had decent competition. 3 proposals were received, and I'll just make a note, if you guys look at the project details on the second page of this award, you'll see that the original budget estimate was only about $50,000. What we decided to do was do a site visit before we worked on the negotiated scope and fee. And what that site visit did was reveal some unknown issues, such as structural remediation, additional design for a lift station and force main, network cabling upgrades, electrical services, et cetera. So that initial site visit allowed us to refine the scope, and you can see that the estimate for the engineering has gone up quite a bit. And then in turn, we have adjusted what our construction budget estimate is going to be. And that is only based off of what we know, which is probably about 10% design at this point. So that could change. It could go up as the engineering scope develops through the 30, 60, 90. But we, at this point, think the total cost of this project will be a little over $1.1 million for engineering and construction. So the engineering design services, you can see the breakout, it's about $130,000. That's about 13% of the construction budget estimate, which is deemed reasonable. And then we have services during construction, which is about 3% of that construction budget. And then there's going to be a site survey, which is about 1%. So what we try to do is break down for you all kind of the total, what the engineering is going to be in construction, so you can see what's coming next. So I will pause there and ask the committee if you guys have any questions or comments.
Jenny, this is Stephen. The award is for the engineering cost at $169,760, and it's expected to be completed July of this year. So why is the award amount for the remainder of this fiscal year only showing $139,000?
I'll let the business comment, but if I were to look at the background from what we have coming, 30,000 of it is going to be during services during construction. And so only, that part won't be paid out this fiscal year. It'll happen when we go back, when we go out for construction, and then the construction actually happens. But I'll let the business confirm that.
Hi, Jenny. It's Matthew Poteet. Yes, that's correct. That's construction administration for the FY22 construction phase.
Okay, great.
We just need it in the award now, but we're not going to cut the PO in FY21. It'll be a change order to the PO in 22.
Okay, I just saw it under the engineering cost breakout, so that's what was throwing me. Okay.
Great question. Great question. Okay. Any other questions? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 5.
So moved.
So moved.
All right, I heard Todd. And Hi, are you second?
Seconding.
Great. I'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 5, starting with Todd Skinner.
Approved.
Hi, Vu.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
And Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 6 is another proposal. This is for steam and combustion turbine maintenance, repair, and overhaul services. So this is not done under CCNA, and pricing was included when we bid this out. This is just one method that we can use when we're looking for something that has more depth to just like a low bid, full scope construction service project. This is a continuing services contract, and it's over 5 years. And so when we go out, we're looking for skill sets, past performance. We're evaluating more than just on price. So this is one way and one method that we have to do that. The other would be an invitation to negotiate, and the only difference between the two is the ability for us to negotiate with like a shortlisted, if we were to do a negotiated bid, and ask, for best and final offers. Here we just did a request for proposal. And so we did not shortlist. You also can do presentations and bring people in, but we didn't do any of that for this one. What we did was just a straight looking at the price. We looked at depth and breadth of the shop services and then the past performance, so their company experience. When we got the bids, we received 4 proposals. One of them was disqualified for not meeting our minimum qualifications. So we were looking at 3 vendors, and Mechanical Dynamics and Analysis LLC is the recommended awardee, and our award amount is going to be $14 million over the 5 years. So this is services that will be performed during outages and then also just during regular operations. So this, any kind of repair, maintenance, overhaul services. And the way we asked for pricing for this was based off of specific outage scopes that we already know that we have. And so we asked for unit prices for the work to be done. But then we also asked for time and material rates for discovery and emergent work that comes up along the way as well. MD&A is the incumbent, and when we compare their rates of the current contract to this, they're basically the same, just approximately 0.2% higher. And then I'll note on here that during the negotiations, JEA proposed an annual, CPI increase with the first 2 years fixed. So that means the rates that they submitted will be fixed for the first 2 years. And then in years 3, 4, and 5, they can adjust on CPI, but they cannot exceed 2.5%. So if CPI goes above 2.5, they will be capped at that. And historically, if we look at the average, it's about 1.7% annually that we see. Now, CPI can go up and down. So, if it were to go down, then their rates would go down. So we look at, both positive and negative effects to the CPI. We also have negotiated discounts. So if our annual spend, if we spend anywhere between $1 million to $2 million, we can get a 2% discount. Anywhere from $2 million to $4 million, we get 2.5, and then above $4 million would be 3%. So those are, additional savings that we could offer JEA if the work is there and is performed to those different levels. What will happen is they will just give us a rebate check or apply credits, depending on where we are in the contract term. And then lastly, we've asked them to maintain the insurance coverages approved by JEA Risk Management for the duration of the contract, but we are allowing them to give us bid bonds per project. So what that does is it allows a little bit of flexibility for the business to not have to bond $14 million over a 5-year period. It's going to be based per project that we award to them, and we'll get those bonds before the project starts to reduce the risk to JEA. So I will pause and ask if you guys have any questions or comments.
This is Hyatt. I have a couple of questions. The first one is the estimate was substantially different than the award amount. Can the business or someone speak to that?
Sure, I'll ask the business to chime in on
This
that.
is Rodney. I can't, couldn't hear the question.
I'm sorry, Rodney. The question
I can
was
repeat
the
it. Hi.
Okay.
If it's easier for you, I think they can probably hear me online a little bit better. So the budget estimate, Rodney, is 27 million, and our award amount
Sure.
is only 14. So we just was curious why that was such a big difference.
Sure. One of the attachments that's in the award is the forecast. We forecast out over 5 years all of the different outages, and we have the estimates for each one of those outages. Those outages are not all funded initially, so when we forecast or when we created the award amount, we currently only have the 14 million identified in project money to pay for outages that are coming forth today. So in the next probably 2 years, as we get to years 3, 4, and 5, and additional projects are written, we'll come back to the awards committee and add additional funding. So that's that part of it. The workbook has unit prices per type of outage service. So like a turbine rollout inspection service might be $1 million. That number would be multiplied times the number of outages that were there. So when they're bidding, they're all bidding the same thing, apples to apples. And then we apply the rate for each one of the outages going forward. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank
you. The second question, mainly more of a comment, really, and I'm glad to see the pricing from the incumbent turns out so well. But my, point of concern is the point distribution from price and depth of and breadth of experience. 50 points is given to the experience part, right? So, and seeing the scores here, it was, I guess, potential that MD&A could have a price twice, if I think I do my math correctly, it's twice as high as the low cost person and still win because there's no way the price could have compensated for the depth. They received a perfect score on the experience, and the other two firms received less than 50%. So this didn't happen here, but I'm concerned that for other projects, for future projects, if the incumbents know that, they could cost it so that they could still win. Is that a concern for us? Because it's essentially...
Understand.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, you know, the weighting on the price points could have been a little bit higher. Or, you know, I think in future bids, we'll make it a little bit higher. The one thing in the depth and breadth of services and just the quality of the proposals that were submitted by the companies. The APG, for example, doesn't have the experience and doesn't have the breadth of services in-house. The quality of the GE proposal was not such that they were awarded points. I mean, if we went back and just dug into, you know, hey, give us more information, let's go look at facilities and look at what you're subcontracting, maybe we could have awarded a few more points. But, you know, when you evaluate, you're evaluating the proposal and the information that you have. So that's what kind of drove the larger delta.
This is Tim Myers. I was the one that proposed the solicitation. Again, as Rodney said, and I do thank you, Rodney. Again, hope this answered all your questions that you had in regards to the, as he said, Applied Power Group has experience in facilities for gas turbine type, but when you also are handling the steam turbine side, that's part of what drove the ranking or
Okay. Thanks, Tim. So just in case you guys didn't hear, they had the most experience on the steam turbine side, which the other ones were lacking. And I'll just note for the record that Rodney Lovegren was speaking earlier. He is a senior buyer for the electric side and managed this bid process. Any other questions or comments?
I do want to self-report one clerical error on my award. I had interim under VP. This is Rodney Lovegren. It should just be VP. So you need to. We'll change that. Make that correction.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you. I know Stephen probably already saw that and maybe did not want to comment on that since he has corrected some of the other errors for us, but I appreciate that, Rodney. Thank you.
I just wanted to beat him to it.
All right. Thank you, guys. So I will ask for a motion to approve award number 6.
This is hybrid, so moved.
Thank
Laura,
you. Can I get a second? Thank you, Laura. We will roll call through the committee to approve award number 6, starting with Haivu.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
And Todd Skinner.
Approved.
All right, last award, award number 7. It was a contract amendment. This is for engineering services for Nassau Regional Water Reclamation Facility projects. Currently, there are multiple projects planned that directly impact the Nassau Regional Water Reclaim Facility. The goal here is to manage all the planned projects under one consultant to provide clear oversight, better alignment of schedules, and shorten project timelines. Hazen and Sawyer was the original awardee. And this award, we are recommending the award amount at $9,630,444. This one was originally approved by the awards committee in April of 2018 for a phase 1 in the amount of about $3 million. And so this change order in phase 1 was just the initial studies for the projects. So through that study process, JEA was able to refine the scope for the upgrade projects that we're actually going to do in phase 2. So this award amount is for projected phase 2, project costs and everything associated with that from an engineering perspective. And by doing that initial phase 1, we were able to, as I said, refine the scope for phase 2, and it looks like it's almost 2% below what JEA had originally estimated for the work. And the CPI, we do allow CPI hourly rate adjustments for this contract. And so when we negotiated the scope of this work, we allowed them to have the CPI increase on their rates. So they were adjusted before we developed this award amount. And then I'll just make one last comment. I don't believe that budget had the opportunity to finish reviewing this one. So in place of budget, signing off on this award and approving it, if we were to move forward, we would need the VP approval to do that. And so as we're going through before we vote, I'll ask if Hai will comment on that. But why don't we pause there first and see if there's any questions or comments about this one before we move to approve. Okay, so before we move to the motion to approve, I'd like to make sure Hai is in agreement to sign off in place of budget.
Yeah, this is Hai. Yes, I'm willing to endorse.
Great. Okay, so we will make that update to the award in place of budget for signature,
So
we'll ask
Jenny-
for your.
Jenny, just to clarify, what Hy is approving here is not just the award, but he's specifically approving that there are funds available in the budget to cover this amount.
That's
Yes,
confirmed.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And that was Julie Davis for the record.
This is Lori Whitmer from Budget, and just to add clarification to Hy on why the trend is in process. We don't foresee any issues. It's just not complete from a budget perspective.
Thank you, Lori. Understood.
Okay, great. All right, so with that business being taken care of, I will now move to ask if we have a motion to approve award number 7.
This is high move, so moved.
Joe Orfano, second.
Thank you, Hy. And Joe, I will ask for a roll call through the committee to approve award number 7, starting with Hy Vu,
Approved.
Joe Orfano,
Approved.
Todd Skinner,
Approved.
Laura Dutton,
Approved.
and Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So we have reviewed each award item individually, and they have all been approved. And so the entire agenda for March 4th, 2021 is approved. I will ask if there's any other business to come before the awards committee. All right, Laura, can I put you on the spot for a second? Since you're new to JEA, do you want to just give us maybe an overview of some of your experience and maybe what your first week was like with training and how you're settling in?
Happy to. Amazing first week, and actually started off even before this week in a pretty awesome way. So I'm very grateful for everyone, even Brenda, who's in the room with us, helping me through some technological difficulties. I'm originally from North Alabama. I've been in Chattanooga, Tennessee for the last little over a decade. And part of my work that brought me to Chattanooga, Tennessee was in the procurement organization. That's where I started at the Tennessee Valley Authority and spent a little under a decade in the procurement organization. So this is interesting for me to sort of dust off the cobwebs and revisit what the procurement world is, but I'm happy to be here and look forward to serving JEA in the Jacksonville community.
Thanks, Laura. We're excited to have you, and I'm glad this first week has been great. And we're all here to support any questions that you have about the process and, how this meeting is run. And, you and I did catch up individually just about the process ahead of time. So I hope that you had at least some tools under your belt to get you through this first meeting. But as you get comfortable seeing all the different things that are coming through, we are open to feedback. As you can see, open discussion during this meeting is important to make sure that everyone's on the same page and all the due diligence has been done. So we appreciate the committee members. As I said, it is a lot of work and review, and this was a pretty light agenda with only 6 real items to look at. So it takes time and effort to work through these, and there's a lot of effort going on behind the scenes to make sure that everything is being done correctly and the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So anyways, I appreciate the committee's effort. Todd, thank you for sitting in for Ricky. We will definitely give him a little bit of hazing for his first committee meeting next week to make sure he feels very welcome. So I will officially adjourn the meeting, and I hope that everybody has a great rest of your Thursday and a very nice, relaxing, safe weekend this weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.